Hi Jay, how's it going?
Hi Raj, how's it going? I'm in Raipur right now for some work, so that's why we're recording today's episode on Google Meets.
Yeah, I don't mind this format actually. I
Yeah,
think it
yeah,
captures us fairly well.
yeah.
Um,
It's not. It's actually pretty good when we're outstation, and it also has like that system where we don't have to edit much, specifically when we are showing our perspectives. So it
yeah,
is easier on editing.
the
Yeah,
recording comes nearly ready to post, so the editing
exactly.
is much easier.
Absolutely. And before we start the conversation, we would like to really pay our respects to the victim of the horrific gang rape that happened in Calcutta's RG Kar hospital. This is an unending trend in our country. And if people like us, people like Raj and myself, don't raise our voices on such issues, then the endemic of rapes and the cycle of rapes will continue. So, anyway, Raj, what is today's conversation about?
I mean, I think we can talk about a multitude of issues.
Yeah,
We can speak about the horrific incident in Calcutta.
yeah,
We can discuss whatever's been ongoing. I've been following some protests that were happening in Kolkata recently, some in Delhi NCR as well.
mm,
Even in Gurgaon, I have seen some groups protesting the response of the state government with respect to this issue and general safety of women in India. So, and there has obviously been a social media uproar that many people have seen. In
yeah,
addition to that, I would briefly want to touch upon the controversy around the previously released advertisements by the UPSC for lateral
lateral entry.
entries
Mm,
at the joint secretary and the deputy secretary levels. Sorry, at joint secretary, deputy secretary, and I think director levels.
yes,
And addition to that, the controversy around it, and we may even explore some history of bureaucracy and lateral entry in India.
done.
So, uh, Jay, can you we speak a little bit about the unfortunate case out of Calcutta? I think
There
people
is
have
not,
been.
yeah, there is not much to speak about it, man. Like, what it takes us to is that पहले तो यार डॉक्टर बनना ही इतना मुश्किल है इस देश में सरकारी हॉस्पिटल से। और सरकारी हॉस्पिटल में जब एडमिशन हो जाता है तो उसके बाद आपको ऐसे अनरीजनेबल टाइमिंग्स में काम करना पड़ता है। 38-38 घंटे आप काम कर रहे होते हो, 38 आवर्स आप काम कर रहे होते हो, और उस 38 आवर्स में आप कब रेस्ट करोगे, कब रिलैक्स करोगे, वो भी भगवान जाने। सो द लाइफ ऑफ अ रेसिडेंट डॉक्टर is extremely difficult in our country, and it becomes 10 folds, 100 folds, infinity folds if that thing exists if you're a woman. So once the shift ends, then you think that you'll go home, you'll reach home safely, but that is also not guaranteed, क्योंकि भाई किसको पता होगा यार कि भाई अगले मोमेंट में लोग तुम पे चढ़ जाएंगे और पता नहीं कौन सी हैवानियत करेंगे तुम पे। एंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमारी सोसाइटी इतनी ज्यादा नम हो चुकी है इन सब चीजों से कि हमें बिल्कुल जस्टिफाइड लगता है, हमें जस्टिफाइड लगता है, इसीलिए ये चीजें इतनी ज्यादा होती रहती हैं और कुछ चेंज ही नहीं आता है सोसाइटी में।
Um,
एंड हम इन सब चीजों को इतना ज्यादा पोलिटिसाइज कर देते हैं कि हम जो कोर इशू है वो भूल जाते हैं। और कोर इशू ये है कि साउथ एशिया में मर्दों को अपनी पावर दिखाने के लिए ये रास्ता बहुत अच्छा लगता है अनफॉर्चुनेटली। और ये सिर्फ और सिर्फ पावर का खेल है, इसमें लिबिडो, सेक्सुअल इन्फैचुएशन का कोई लेना देना ही नहीं है। कुछ साउथ एशियन लोग इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ देयर रिलीजियस आइडेंटिटी, कास्ट, ये बर्दाश्त ही नहीं कर सकते हैं कि औरतें बाहर आ रही हैं, औरतों की नौकरियां लग रही हैं। एंड पॉलिटिशियंस इसका फायदा उठाते हैं। वो बोलते हैं कि इस पॉलिटिकल पार्टी ने करा, उस पॉलिटिकल पार्टी ने करा। फिर वो बंदे का रिलीजियस आइडेंटिटी निकालने की कोशिश करते हैं। फिर वो ये दिखाने की कोशिश करते हैं, नहीं देखो इस रिलीजियस आइडेंटिटी का था, नहीं इस रिलीजियस आइडेंटिटी का था, या इस जाति का था। तो वो बोल जो भी सरकार उसके अंडर होगी वो उस सरकार के खिलाफ जाएंगे। तो फिर इसका भी आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स से ये लोग जोड़ तोड़ निकालने की कोशिश करेंगे। तो ये बहुत ही डिप्रेसिंग और बहुत ही सैड सिचुएशन है। And honestly, the reason why I wasn't talking about this situation was that I thought that as a man, I should hang my head in shame and just introspect. But I
Mhm.
fortunately came across a few social media posts which said that why aren't men talking about this incident? Why aren't they discussing this on their platform? So since we have a little platform of ours, I thought that we should also talk about this.
Yeah. I think with respect to the issue that happened in Calcutta, there are two aspects to which I want to talk about, and I want to keep my opinion brief because I think men like me are, I guess, better served listening than we are talking, at
Absolutely,
least
I totally agree.
for a
That's
small
what,
extent.
yeah, that's why
So
we did not talk about it in the first place.
I
Yes.
think my view first starts with the fact that women's safety should I think not just be a state issue or a central government issue. I think there needs to be more cooperative law enforcement on that case. I don't think small petty politics that this state government is not serving anybody or the government of India has not acted, that's not
Hmm.
serving anybody. And I think
Absolutely.
that this is the administrative side of it. Administration is not all because so much sexual abuse and sexual assault happens inside of people's homes. So then what can the administration and law and order do when the abuser is from your family, when he's
Mm.
from your close friend group? So what then can be done is that you can build a culture of accountability, a culture of shared experiences being used to build accountability and sort of build a better institutional response. And by institutional response, I don't just mean government response. You can build an
Mm.
institutional response at a higher level, that
Mm.
you bring these issues out, you talk about them. And I mean, what has happened in Calcutta, it honestly shakes you to the core as a human being.
And what
So
is
I
even, yeah, what's more ironic is that the politicians of the ruling party of West Bengal, I'm not going to take the party's name because everyone knows them. Uh, they basically championed women's rights. One of their most influential members of the Lok Sabha was very, very loud about how women are being mistreated in the country, and and how this central government plays a key role in subduing women's voices, whereas people in your own state have absolutely no idea about who was involved in this particular action. There are a lot of rumors which are pointing towards the present state government's affiliates being involved in the horrific act. And it just goes to show that a lot of these issues are just raked up in the parliament so that some people can get their few likes and few pats on the back in the forms of social media validation from certain sections of society. Because when it comes to on the ground implementation, they are totally disconnected from that. Because if they were connected with the realities of the country, this wouldn't have happened in your own backyard. This wouldn't have happened in a state which always championed women's rights, which always said that it was one of the very few states which had some levels of egalitarianism when it came to the two sexes, if you may.
very fair point. I think to take it forward, we have spoken about women's safety, and I think that women's safety conversations are going to keep happening more so inside our homes than platforms. They must
Mhm.
keep happening. I think there is no end, and there should be no end to these conversations.
Absolutely.
But the next aspect that I want to come to is the
Mhm.
safety of doctors. And
Yeah.
we spoke about this largely on on media and on social media when the COVID second wave was going on in India. Many
Mhm.
people started attacking doctors for
Mhm.
the fatalities in their families. Many people started assaulting and punching and, very emotionally attacking doctors for, breaking the news of the death of a loved one because of COVID. So I think that maybe there need to be better institutions to protect your medical bureaucracy.
Yeah.
I would use the term medical bureaucracy intentionally because
Mm.
the, the systems of delivery of public health services in India is still very
Mm.
red tape
Mhm.
focused. There is a lot of paperwork that still happens in AIMS and that still happens in government health institutions. So maybe deploying a little bit of more private security, contracting some companies to protect maybe like your HODs or departments, those kind of things need to be ensured for better public access to health, better safety of doctors, because I'm sure we are reaching a point where the doctor in India is so demotivated by the incidents that have been ongoing. You have a
The
need
NEET
crisis
NEET crisis.
where you have where you have people who have been preparing for one exam for years and years, and then they watch a malpractice happen in an exam that is meant for their dream job. It is very discouraging. And on top
Mhm.
of that, a person who has already achieved a status like that has has a unfortunate end to her life, which is so painful. Even imagining it is painful for me right now. So
Mhm.
not only did the system failed the victim in Calcutta, the bureaucracy failed her, the government failed her, the culture failed her.
भाई
And
ब्यूरोक्रेसी हमें हर लेवल पे फेल कर रही है। आई एम सो सॉरी राज, बट यार अब जब तुम ब्यूरोक्रेट्स को, हमारे लॉ लॉ हमारे प्रोटेक्टर्स को, जो हमारे सिविल सर्वेंट्स हैं, उनको तुम एक तरीके से सोशल मीडिया स्टार बना देते हो, जब तुम उनके ऐसे हजारों हजारों फॉलोअर्स, उनकी गलती नहीं है, मैं नहीं कह रहा हूँ उनकी गलती है, उनकी गलती नहीं है, लेकिन जब तुम उनको ऐसा ऐसा भगवान का दर्जा दे देते हो, और जब वो डिलीवर नहीं कर पाते हैं, तो फिर उनकी तरफ वैसे क्यों नहीं रिएक्ट करते हो? आई फील पॉलिटिशियंस को हम लोग कब तक गालियां देंगे, क्योंकि जो एग्जीक्यूटिव है, एग्जीक्यूटिव का जो कोर बैकबोन है, तो वो ब्यूरोक्रेसी ही है ना।
जो
गलत कह रहा हूँ?
परमानेंट हाँ, जो परमानेंट
परमानेंट
एग्जीक्यूटिव है।
एग्जीक्यूटिव है तो ब्यूरोक्रेसी है, बट दीस पीपल आर ऑलवेज इन पावर। they are in power for good 30 years, good 32, 35 years, 39 years if you've cracked the exam at 29, 21. So what are these people doing? Who are the people responsible for, like, such institutions to be safeguarded?
फेयर। चलिए, अगर ब्यूरोक्रेसी की बात हो ही रही है,
Yeah.
so let's now shift the focus of the conversation to the UPSC issued circular on the vacancy details of joint secretary, deputy secretary, director level officers in the government of India. And let's speak about how the concept of contractual bureaucracy works.
Mm.
Like you just mentioned, like people clear an exam and
Mm.
they are all powerful for 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
This is uh, this is the case in India. I think at some levels, some countries or other countries also have the concept of a career bureaucracy,
Mm.
but most developed countries have for a very long time been experimenting with, rather championing, contractual bureaucracy.
बिल्कुल.
In the US, for example,
Mm.
the director of the CIA is
Mm.
not often always like a career bureaucrat.
Mm.
I'm not saying that you implement the same model for Raw in India. I
Mhm.
think that's not what's required. I'm just giving an example that
Mhm.
you can be a lawyer and then immediately start heading the FBI.
Mhm.
And in the recent attack that happened on
Yeah.
Donald Trump, the career of the director of Secret Service came into light, who had been in Secret Service her whole life. Then she retired and worked in the Coca-Cola company, and
Mm.
then she was appointed director of the Secret Service
Mm.
again. So I'm not saying that you implement the exact same American model, but you start experimenting a little bit with contractual bureaucracy. On that
Absolutely.
on that note, I think this lateral entry circular was issued in very good, in a very with a very good intent. I think
Mm.
it's worthy of a lot of support because
Mm.
I think in especially areas like financial services, civil aviation, commerce, and industry, I think you now need a lot of private sector expertise in India
Mm.
to help build these institutions of government. And I think it's very opposition. I think it's very unfortunate that today, because of maybe the pressure of the opposition or some of the government's own allies, the circular had to be withdrawn. because I think a contractual bureaucracy present to complement a career
Mm-hmm.
bureaucracy is in the right interest of the country.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Absolutely.
you should not just pull out these caste angles again and again and try to assume quotas in this system, because the lateral entry system is purely and solely based on motivation and professional history of people. And I'm sure they will be recruited from diverse caste backgrounds anyway, because India has a diverse caste setup regardless. So I
Yeah,
think
what the
canceling it
BJ
is in the
wait, wait.
wrong spirit.
What the
And yeah,
central government could have done is that they could have said ki, if we're taking out 100 vacancies, out of that, we could, like, leave at least 50 for affirmative action, and the rest 50 can be, left out for general category, like the usual setup for
Mhm.
central examination. So they could have come out and given a clarification like that, so that could
Yeah.
have helped them in their political sense. Now, coming back to bureaucracy, Raj, you need to understand one thing: bureaucracy in India, specifically UPSC, IAS, IPS, everything, they are still extremely colonial in nature. I have said this multiple times and I'm going to say it again. They are nothing but a figment of our colonial past, and something which is associated with a colonizer who ruled over the masses through these institutions will always be associated with social mobility. And till it is not disassociated with social mobility, bureaucracy is not disassociated with social mobility and is just seen as a way or as a means to achieving economic prowess and achieving the delivery of uh, of social infrastructure to the needy, then we'll never be able to achieve the goals that we want to achieve for our country, because it will
Fair.
always be seen as a means to taking your family to a level which you always desired, taking your family to a level which your family has never seen. It will never be seen as a way of serving. It will always be associated with the glamour that it comes with. That's why you have, like, these bureaucrats becoming social media stars and, like, having so many followers, and like that is not your job. I'm sorry, bhai, you shouldn't be doing that. You should keep a low profile. You should have an official account, or your account should be educational in nature. If you're running a coaching center teaching kids, that is amazing, do that. But having like multiple followers, but like millions of followers or thousands of followers, and, like, showing your personal life, I feel that is in a bad taste, because that is not what is expected out of you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I
Yeah.
absolutely agree with you. I don't typically, although I don't support overhauling systems totally, I'm
Mhm.
always in support of incremental reform.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I think what the government is proposing is in the right spirit, because right now you're trying to build incremental reform by starting to experiment with contractual bureaucracy.
Mhm.
The first problem people have with lateral entry is that people will always complain that, oh, now these quote unquote politicians will just put their people in the government. But
Mhm.
that my pushback to that would be that if you read the circular, they all have very specific qualifications to be even be eligible to apply to these positions. So anybody who's being appointed as a joint secretary, even through lateral entry to the government of India, has
Mhm.
a very rich professional life. For
Mhm.
example, the first advertisement on the
Mhm.
circular is for this post called Joint Secretary Emerging
Mhm.
Technologies in the Ministry of Electronics, Information and Technology. And his
Mhm.
educational qualifications have to be at the very least a postgraduate degree in technology or management, and with 15 years of work experience in the field of technology. So a person with that rich a professional life can definitely benefit the government of India, and is probably coming from a very rich professional life himself. So these questions about the
Mhm.
government just bringing in anybody, or the questions about things like things like uh, uh, you know things of the sort of uh, that maybe people are not experienced enough to be
Mhm.
in the government service, that those are unfounded. So secondly, my problem here is that a lot of people also start claiming things like somebody from the Adani group might come in, somebody from the
Mm-hmm.
Ambani group might come in. I have two pushbacks to that. A,
Mm-hmm.
these companies are very, very diverse organizations that have done a lot of infrastructure, port, telecom management for the government. So if their
Mm-hmm.
executives on a tenure basis are being appointed to the government, I don't personally see anything wrong with that. But we all know that it can become a huge political issue.
Mm-hmm.
My view here would just be that let's not discredit people's professional achievement just based on the fact that they are not career bureaucrats.
Mm-hmm.
Just because somebody is not a career bureaucrat doesn't mean he does not deserve an opportunity to serve five years contractually in government. What happens now is that people have been appointed at lateral entry posts
Mm-hmm.
also. The problem is that when a joint secretary is appointed, the additional secretaries who are IAS officers will not let him work. They will
Mm-hmm.
always be in a tussle. They will be in
Mm-hmm.
an ego tussle. I have even heard of some IAS officers scolding lateral entry joint secretaries that why are you using an Ashoka pillar on your
Yeah.
visiting card when you are
Yes.
not an IAS officer? So
Mm-hmm.
when the thought process is so limited, how do you expand incremental reform and how do you build a government service that is prudent when you are caught up in these ego issues? I
Exactly.
respect I respect the IAS a lot. I am still in the favor of keeping the secretaries to the government of India from the IAS cadre. But
Mm-hmm.
if you gatekeep government institutions, you will always be left behind in policy making. I will just give one example, then I'll end my rant. In
Mm-hmm.
1993 or 1994, this is from a book called When the Chips Are Down by Pranay Kothastane
Mm-hmm.
and another gentleman. I'm forgetting
Mm-hmm.
his name. We'll put the link. Uh, India was actually the second country after Taiwan to receive semiconductors as chips as technology transfer from the US. And look
Mm-hmm.
what Taiwan did with its semiconductor policy, and look at what we did with it. The primary and the only reason was that we did not have enough industry expertise. Our government was so red tape focused and so
Mm-hmm.
limited minded that India could never build its semiconductor industry because we thought we will only sell these components to government institutions themselves, and we lost out years and years of economic progress just because of that.
यार
that is
हाँ,
that is the cost and that is the
हम्म,
price we pay for not having industry expertise in government.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल देखो मैं एक बहुत अच्छा एग्जांपल देता हूँ कि यार देख it all depends on how much power you want to give institutions. Now if you put someone at a place like say the Ministry of Technology, right, Ministry of Information and Technology, I'm just giving you an example, this is an anecdote, right, and now you bring in someone with a lot of experience in that. Now this particular person which I've seen, like, because the egos are always running high, right, they would feel extremely threatened by it because they know that they have worked their asses off when they were young to achieve coming into the bureaucracy, coming into the civil services. Like, so now they're just associating it with like 30 years of continuous domination in whichever field that they're going to. And obviously, with respect to, some political interference here and there. Now, if you see some outsider come in, right, and suddenly make you irrelevant in the field which you're supposed to dominate, what will you do? You will just sit on the files. You will create more red tapes. You will have some type of ego tussle with that guy, and inadvertently that would harm the country. And that is the unfortunate part of our bureaucracy. And this is not just true for the Indian administrative services. This is true for the Indian police services. Indian police services also. We have seen that any officer who has any bright ideas about, like, say counterinsurgency or something which challenges the norm, it just threatens so many people, bro. It threatens so many people, and specifically the people who want to grab more power or want to be more politically relevant in the future. So
Yeah, I mean,
unfortunately, that's the
sorry, go
that's
on.
the reality. That's the reality, man. It's
I mean, my only counter to this whole thing would be that
hmm,
one of my favorite quotes is
yeah,
that there is nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. So
exactly.
if you are still not willing to accept the idea of a
Hmm,
contractual bureaucracy, in some years the developmental indicators and the developmental requirements of the country will phase you out. If you
exactly, आप
can't grow and
irrelevant हो
change
जाओगे.
with the times, if for example in the 1940s, in the Second World War, you would be using First World War tech or First World War strategies, you would lose.
Hmm,
Historically, you need to keep upgrading yourself. You need to keep building up your capacity. The time has come for India to bring in contractual bureaucracy and industry expertise into areas of government service. I am not saying dominate the government service by lateral entrance, not at all. Just bring them in, keep them in the good books of the ministers. Let the ministers be subject to their aid advice. And this is not a new concept. In the Nehru government, there we had a gentleman, Mantosh Sodhi, who I think was an industrialist who became secretary heavy industries. And I don't think ever since there's anybody who belonged to any other background other than the IAS who's ever been appointed secretary heavy industries. Now, additionally, Nehru, one of the important founding fathers of the country, who is ideologically seen so opposed to this government, was a big supporter of the concept of what we call lateral entries. He was actually uh, he was actually of a fairly high opinion of people who were, economists. We know the Nehru Mahalanobis model. So the economist PC Mahalanobis was a very important quote unquote lateral entrant in his office. So it's not like the concept of a lateral entrant is anything new. I'm just saying that continue with it. Keep the IAS thriving, hold them accountable. I'm not saying withdraw all power from the IAS because even
Obviously.
that would be unfair. Let's have some IAS officers who are accountable, who are hardworking, reward them duly, give them their due promotions, mix the whole central government ministries, mix it up with lateral entrants, mix it up with CSS officers, mix it up with some industry experts, and apply a whole of society approach to sort of building ministerial progress. Secondly,
Absolutely.
I also want to say that if now a lot of India Alliance parties are opposing the imposition of a lateral entry concept, let's ask important questions about who was Montek Singh Ahluwalia. He was a member of Planning Commission in the UP era. He was a notable economist and he was a lateral entrant. Who was Raghuram Rajan? He was the chief economic advisor to Government of India, appointed in the UPA government, a lateral entrant. Who was, say, Manmohan Singh?
Exactly. Exactly.
A lateral entrant prior to becoming RBI governor. He also served as chief economic advisor. So it's in departments like economic affairs, in departments like science and technology, lateral entry has in fact been the norm. The only thing that this government is trying to do is expand its horizon a little bit. I personally don't see anything wrong in it. I think it's required. I think the only area where lateral entry may not be required is policing, for which other ways of building efficiency are required. So
Exactly.
I think the BPRND and the Ministry of Home Affairs should maybe work with making the IPS more efficient, more focused on public service delivery and less on politics. But I think making the IPS more efficient is an issue that can totally be divorced from the lateral entry of private sector individuals in, say, the Ministry of
Absolutely.
Civil Aviation,
Absolutely.
Ministry of Finance,
Absolutely.
Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, blah blah blah. So
Yeah, man.
those are my thoughts on lateral entry. I have been a
Yeah.
supporter of it. I will continue to be a supporter of it.
I think that was a great conversation. We can call it a night. Thank
Yeah,
you
I
guys.
mean, let's get everybody's thoughts. I think we are also on our 199th subscriber as we speak.
Oy,
So we
nice.
can have our 200
Nice.
subscriber party soon.
Soon.
But yeah, so thank you
Yeah.
for joining in. Thank you for
Thank
tuning
you.
in. Let
Yeah.
us know your
What do you think?
thoughts. Give us
Yeah.
opinions, feedback.
Yeah.
Tell us how we
Everything.
can change.
Yeah,
And
man.
please subscribe, share, like.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Bye.
joining us. Bye.